Okay. So this is the Southborough Youth Commission meeting on Wednesday, March 10th, 2021 at 7 p.m. via remote participation. I will start with our usual boilerplate, unless Marguerite, you would like to.
I can't find my agenda.
Okay, all right, I'll do it.
Thank you.
Sure. Pursuant to Governor Baker's March 12th, 2020 order suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law, GLC 30, Section 18, and the Governor's March 15th, 2020 order imposing strict limitations on the number of people that may gather in one place, this meeting of the Southborough Youth Commission will be conducted via remote participation to the greatest extent possible. Specific information in the general guidelines for remote participation by members of the public and or parties with the right and or requirement to attend this meeting can be found on the town's website at https://southboroughtown.com/. For this meeting, members of the public who wish to listen to the meeting may do so in the following manner. https://southboroughtown.com/remote. Oh, I didn't realize Leslie had left. No in-person attendance of members of the public will be permitted, but every effort will be made to ensure that the public can adequately access the proceedings in real time via technological means. In the event that we are unable to do so, despite best efforts, we will put on Southborough's website an audio or video recording, transcript, or other comprehensive record of proceedings as soon as possible after the meeting. Okay, so the first item on the agenda is to review and approve the minutes for the meeting minutes for February 9th.
I'm good now. I don't know why the volume got turned down on my keyboard, so I'm good.
Is there any, that's okay. Is there any discussion about the minutes?
Would anybody like to move to vote on the approval of the minutes?
I move that we vote to approve the minutes.
Second that.
Okay. Marguerite Landry,
Aye.
Beth Dombacher,
Aye.
Lauren Ritchie,
Aye.
Sarah Mikas,
Aye.
and Leslie Haddon.
Hi.
Great. Okay. Moving right along. The next item is the director's report for February. And I will, as I have been the last few times, just look at our highlights sheet here and highlight some of the highlights. I think two of the bigger pieces for the month of February was that the Helpline for Interface Referral Services launched as of February 1st, which has been, we're folding that into our usual operations in the department. It's been lovely to have a vehicle that we feel confident in helping people when we can't. And I have heard feedback from a couple of people who have utilized the service that they have found it very helpful. I think often, Megan, I don't know if you have anything you would add to this conversation, because Megan generally fields all of our counseling and mental health inquiries. And so, you know, often I think what we're trying to navigate right now is, when is this an appropriate referral to interface versus staying with us because we need more information and we're trying to help the family figure out what their needs are. Because in some cases, counseling isn't what's recommended next, or in some cases, it's a very short-term thing and very situational, in which case, navigating through their insurance isn't an appropriate next step. So that's kind of, what has been happening internally in our department. But I am very eager to get an updated report from Interface at some point to find out the level of usage. We had done a number of advertising efforts in the month of February also to promote the service. And once people are out and about a little bit more, we also have quite a number of postcards from Interface to leave at various locations for people to take home that Christina's working on adding a sticker that has our logo and our contact information on it so that people know if they have a question about the service that they can call us about it. Any questions on Interface?
How are people accessing it? Is it through something they've received or?
There's a phone number. So the way we advertised it, we created a flyer that gave a brief description and the phone number, as well as the hours that the helpline is open. We sent that out through all of the schools. We sent that out through the schools, the other town departments, I'm losing my train of thought. My Southborough, we shared it on our own social media accounts and website. We also did a coffee talk episode about Interface, which was great. So it's the kind of thing that I think we're going to need to advertise in waves, because I think it's on people's radar, but needs to keep being put on people's radar. So we will be doing more of that throughout the year. Any other questions about Interface?
I was going to say, I think that's a good idea to continue in waves.
Yeah.
That effort.
We have Susan joining us.
Are there any parent groups you can share it with? I think once the kids go back to school, maybe they'll have more access, but because of the virtual reality we're living in, it would be great if we could reach out to some parenting type ways of getting the information out, because I think a lot of families are struggling right now and they're very isolated. And if you don't leave your house for many reasons, then you might not be aware of the service. So
yeah, we are certainly open. Sarah, you're reminding me that maybe sending the flyer to Southborough Village Preschool would be a good idea. I do know, I think it was shared with Kinder Group also, but we are open to any and all suggestions.
Okay. Yeah, because we could put some in backpacks at the school. We could drop them off at some of the daycare centers. I don't know where else parents go these days. The grocery store.
The difficult thing is that it's town specific. So even with churches, we have to be really careful because they do have parishioners that are not from Southborough.
Yeah, no, I like the transfer station idea. I think a lot of people still go to dump off their garbage. And I think that will be a great access point to get the information out. So,
okay.
Sarah, is it on the public safety, the fire and police websites?
It is not.
Do you think that would be a good place to put it?
I am not opposed to that, but we don't manage those websites. It's possible I could make the suggestion or share it with them and just say, in the event that you guys want to put this up there.
It doesn't seem like it would hurt if you had somebody who was in semi-crisis. They might see it there.
doctor's offices,
Hmm.
helps pediatricians.
Yep, again, it's tricky because it's
Yeah.
only for specific towns. And so,
Yeah.
you know, we have to be careful at which outlets we advertise it. Even though it says that, you wouldn't believe the number of phone calls that Interface gets saying, I heard about the service, and then they ask what town they live in, and it turns out they're not eligible.
Oh,
The other thing that I would say has been a more involving thing in the month of February is the strategic planning process. So we had our first couple of meetings with the full strategic planning committee, which I outlined who the members of that committee are. And in those first two meetings, we really spoke mostly about the community needs assessment and what questions we wanted to ask, how we were going to gather information, who was going to do what. And so our results are a survey, which is online. And I know that we've sent that to all of you. So thank you to any of you who have taken the survey. It's very helpful. And I think, Shannon, correct me if I'm wrong, I think our goal is to try to get around 360 to 380 participants of residents.
Right.
Yeah, from town, given the population, and indicated to us that would make our results significant. So I think we're hovering right around 280 or so right now.
Okay.
So we need another 100 or so participants. And I know I sent you all a text message earlier to say, does anyone have any ideas on someone who might be willing to volunteer to go to the transfer station this weekend? So we have a flyer that has a QR code on it, which means that a person, I don't know, I hadn't used QR codes before this pandemic because I have to use it every day to check my child into preschool. But you just use your camera and you scan the QR code and it takes you right to the survey. And you can complete it on your smartphone, and it takes, I don't know if anybody has taken it here, but it's
quick.
averaging under 10 minutes and usually more around 5 to complete the survey, which is great.
Except for a couple of people have told me they wanted to skip questions and they wouldn't allow them to skip questions. So they just closed it. They didn't finish.
Yeah.
And there were a couple of questions that were like, it said, did you know about such and such and such and such? And I would know about such and such, but I didn't know about and such and such. So I was like, how do I answer this? This is like multiple.
It was a two-parter.
Two-part question. Like, so I would put no because I didn't know about the whole question.
Thing.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I thought one of the questions was about, do you have aging? I forget how it was worded, but I read it as, do you have aging parents in your household? So I said no. But then as I went further into the survey, that was one of the questions I realized I answered it wrong. I do have issues of aging parents, but they don't live in my household.
Right.
So it was a little bit misleading.
Sue says she's waiting to get in, but she's not in our waiting area. I think she's waiting to get into some other meeting.
Uh-oh.
Hold on, Sue.
Probably clicked the first one. We got 2 links.
I did that earlier, that there was still a reminder to go to the town Zoom link. And I just sat and waited. And then I shut it down and there was a message that said, there's another meeting in progress. And I was like, oh, whoops.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Sorry, guys. Just send her the link here.
I mean, it's just part of what we're dealing
Sue,
with.
we can see you. You're here, right?
I'm here. Can you see me?
Yep.
Okay.
Oh no, we're talking about Sue Butka.
Oh, other Sue.
Oh.
Sue. Okay.
Okay, you want me to handle it, Sarah? Or you
It's
good?
okay. I
Okay.
got her.
Oh,
So we have the survey that we're trying to get more participation in.
Sarah,
Sarah,
are you
Yeah.
allowed to send those through schools or not?
The survey,
Right, like could you send them through elementary schools in their packets or?
we did.
Okay,
It's possible that it hasn't gone out yet because of, I think a lot of schools do something on Thursdays. And by the time we got approval for it being sent out through the schools, it was passed last Thursday. So school parents should see it in this week's packet.
Did you extend the deadline? Because I think the original deadline was March 11th.
Yep.
Okay, you did. Okay.
Well, I don't think that's written on the flyer itself. Or
I
I'm
read
hoping
that somewhere, whether it was your email or someplace.
Yeah, it was probably something I shared internally because I am trying to collect as much information as we can, but with the option to extend it. We're not advertising it that way, but we do have a very quick turnaround time, unfortunately.
And then a friend of mine suggested perhaps reaching out to the local church youth groups to see if any of those kids would be available for the transfer station. But I know it's quick turnaround time on that as well.
Yeah. So we'll do our best, but we appreciate you guys taking it and sharing it out with others. And the other piece of work that we're doing to try to collect additional information is through focus groups. And I did a focus group with parents of older youth or young adults, I guess is the more appropriate term. Hi, Sue.
Hey guys, sorry.
It's okay.
Hello.
And then I have a focus group tomorrow with some residents over the age of 65 that came recommended from the senior center.
You could have had Paul join that.
Paul, don't let her badmouth you. Let's see. And we have some other focus groups going with parents of toddlers and babies, and then elementary age students. I would love, again, time is really in a crunch here, but to possibly do a focus group with middle and high school age youth. What's that?
Teens, perhaps?
Yeah.
I mean, parents of teens. Oh, you mean the kids themselves, you're saying?
No. Well, I am trying to get a group of kids themselves too, but yeah. So it's a lot, and a lot of schedules to coordinate. The group we had on Monday was really great because it kind of came together last minute over the weekend, and I just picked a time, and we had 12 people participate in that one, which was great. And then tomorrow's group, I think I have a group of 10. So
nice.
Yeah,
that's great.
And then I know Megan Wickstead, who is on the committee, is also going to be conducting some focus groups with some of the families that she works with. She is an English language learner teacher at Trottier. So I know she'll be talking with some of those families also, which is great. Oh, and we also had the survey translated into Portuguese and Spanish. I called on my friend Patricia, who's from Brazil. Shout out to Patricia here on the Youth Commission board meeting. She's from Brazil, so she's a native Portuguese speaker, and we used Google Translate and then had her review Google Translate's work. And then I have family on my side that speaks Spanish. So I had them look at the Spanish version. And as of yesterday, we have those available to people too. So, so I think Christine is planning to ask my Southborough to share it out again with those available. And
They
I
shared it.
think there's-
It was shared today
Oh, good.
on my Southborough.
Wonderful. It was tricky because we said, well, the article itself is not going to be written in Portuguese or Spanish, so I'm not sure. I'm not sure how helpful that is, but so if you know any neighbors or anything that you could, encourage them to take it, if they speak Spanish or Portuguese as their first language, that's great. But I am sharing it out through the ELL teachers at the schools. So.
I know it showed up on the Southborough Community Facebook group, and there was a lot of interest. I'll post it again because sometimes
that'd be great.
those things get buried, and I'm going to post the link on my own Facebook group. Hopefully you only get people from Southborough and not that.
Well, the first question is, do you live in Southborough?
Yeah.
So does
Well, hopefully that will eliminate those
Yes.
people.
does it let you go further if you say no? Yeah. So
If you work in Southborough, you can also fill out the survey. But if you are neither, it will say thank you very much for your participation, and it bumps you out. So that was our intention, to try to screen people to ensure that they were either a resident or an employee that works or provides for the town. Okay, I do want to just, where's my, I do want to bring up briefly and get your thoughts on our speaker series. We do need to make sure that we talk about the budget, which is next on the agenda. But so we have been, again, this pandemic has made it really challenging to do programming and outreach to the community. Coffee Talk has been unique in, I think, because people can watch it on their own time. It's been a nice offering, and hasn't been, it's actually been an enjoyment, I would say. I shouldn't talk for Shannon and Megan, but Megan's smiling. So it hasn't required too much from us to keep that going. But we've got money in our budget. We identified a number of topics that we thought would be of interest to families, specifically around parenting. I think a couple of you said a minute ago that parents are really struggling right now. We also had, I think we made you aware that last night we had a speaker on relationships with technology. And
How did that go?
Well,
You had some fun with technology, or?
no,
That's good.
not that at all. Both of these topics that we've had so far have been pretty poorly attended. And we have done everything we can think of to advertise it. And, part of it, we can all relate, is that we're just inundated with information. We're all zoomed out.
yeah, zoomed out, webinar, Zoom, webinar, too many webinars, and just
Yeah.
tired of it all.
It's a bit painful to spend the money, even if it helps 5 people. So our first event, we had 3 people, and our second one, we had 5.
Excuse me, what was the first event, Sarah?
The first one was Love Has No Limits, but Parenting Does. So, which is very, a relevant topic, and with somebody who's incredibly dynamic, who's well known, and I will say, I think only one of we even opened it to the general public, and only one of those 3 people was a Southborough resident. So,
wow.
Despite this being shared with all of the schools, on my Southborough, on our social media, and there's just only so much that you can do. And even if people really need that support, I think we're just wondering if this avenue of asking people to sit in front of a computer is asking too much.
I would have to agree with that. I think that people at this point in time, the amount of Zoom fatigue is real. Parents who are working are Zooming and doing Google Hangouts. The kids, I think the last thing you want to do is turn your computer on again at night. And the only other thing I could think of is that you record them and you make them accessible when people might have some free time or whatever, but it might be not the most effective venue to support the community right now. So,
which is why I think Coffee Talk works, because it's half an hour. It's when you want to watch it. If somebody wants to watch it, they'll make a point to do so at their convenience. The problem with speakers is that this is their livelihood, and we can't record it because then
they won't. Yeah.
This is
Yeah.
how they
Yeah, I'm sorry I wasn't able to stay in the meeting last
that's
night.
okay.
I had 2 other meetings at the same time, and I canceled one other. So it was like,
Well,
I
thank you
think
for coming.
everyone's experiencing the same thing.
Yeah. So we're kind of really, we have money in our budget to be spending on programming. And we're trying to identify, are there some alternative things we could do with those funds for the rest of this year? The end of the fiscal year is coming up quickly. Or do we want to, we've got 2 of these under our belt. We're concerned about continuing down this path. And Shannon and I met about it today and just decided we were going to bring it to you guys to get some thoughts on, should we stay the course? We have the money and it may not be helping a large number of people, but it's helping someone. Or can we identify other ways to bring programming or outreach to the community?
Would you count programming as, because I'm thinking like people have time to listen to stuff like a podcast while they're driving. And it seems like, is there anything we could do where the information could be available on a format like that so that people could listen to it, maybe not all the way straight through, but a little bit now and a little bit on the way back home? It seems like, I agree, asking someone to give up like an hour of their precious time to be on the screen again is kind of, well, we kind of get the answer for that, right? The attendance is too low, but something like a podcast or something that, maybe you could curate a group of things that you think would be very useful and make that available somehow. Do you know what I mean? You're laughing.
Shannon's.
No, I'm thinking.
Yeah.
Because I'm thinking that if we're finding that Coffee Talk is successful, that could we, instead of having the speaker just speak, do some sort of interview so that it's a little bit more dynamic, whatever, and it's recorded, maybe just as audio or something, that it's available to Southborough, beyond Southborough if it needs to be.
Yeah, like a radio.
It's not their usual package. Supporting it.
Well, is there a way to get it when it's not actually coming from a hired speaker, but is there just product out there that you could curate and release? I understand.
Yes, but I guess the point of this conversation is we have money. And
right, it's twofold.
We need to identify some alternatives to, because obviously there's a need there, but
no.
How else can we reach and support people?
Tell you the truth, with the nice weather, people need to get out, and this is people do not want to sit and listen to anything. They don't want to read. They don't want to look at their computer. They don't want to be on their phone. I think we need to get people outside, and, you know, I don't know what we can do that is safe. I mean, could we do a mindfulness workshop outside and everybody sits, you know, 10 feet away from each other on a cushion? I don't know. I did a master class in mindfulness and meditation with multi-generations of my family. And it was really helpful. It was, I mean, we had to Zoom it obviously, but it was the first thing that kind of everybody paid attention to. And we all agreed in these times, it was really helpful. And so maybe we have to think about, what do the people really need? They need a break. They need a brain break. They need words of encouragement. They need, I mean, even if you did like a poetry slam or something, I don't know. But I think right now, people's brains really can't wrap around any more information that's coming through their computer screen. So that is my take. I don't know what, you know, I do think that things will open up a bit in the next couple months, but I think you're throwing money into a fan right now. Trying to encourage people to sit down for yet another hour.
Yeah, since you've asked a two-part question, the first answer for me would be to not continue with the paid speaker series as that part. Now, what you do instead, I don't know, but
come on, Lauren. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
I agree with Lauren's take on it, because, you know, the money's in the budget, but it is the taxpayers' money and we don't want to waste it, you know. So if it's not getting good turnout, then it's time to think about something else.
I agree.
So a question for you, Sarah, that would then in turn come to the board is, where does that money come out of? And what is it that we can do with that money?
Well, it's the money that we identified that we would have been using for this speaker series was out of contracted services and rec supplies, which is a strange
combination.
I'm admitting on the record that I've never fully understood these line items and what the titles are, but in my mind, I use those lines for programming. So contracted services, bringing in a speaker, or working with a consultant, involving a person, you know, in some kind of service that we're offering. And rec supplies, I'm not sure that I would have used that piece. This was mostly coming from contracted services for the speaker series, but rec supplies would be supplies that we would buy for a program. So where my mind was going when you guys were talking about giving people a brain break, I was even picturing like buying a bunch of kites and bubbles and chalk and just making that available to people. And just trying to encourage outside, you know, but I mean, chances are people have that.
Make some bag lunches and distribute bag lunches and some bubbles. Mark off, you know, safe places for families to sit. I don't know. I just feel like families want to get out and do something different than they've been doing.
Yeah, almost like a day in the park.
Well, this is very much in line with what we've been working on and what Shannon's been working on for Mental Health Awareness Month. The theme that she's been following this year is positivity and hope and happiness, and trying to nurture that. Shannon, please feel free to chime in, but also about trying to get people outside and active. Same things that you're suggesting. So it's possible. I mean, we've been struggling with that a bit because again, we want people to get outside and be active, but we also are living in
a pandemic,
COVID still. So, you know, we're limited in what we can actually promote. and encourage people to do safely. So it's hard, but it's possible that we could, depending on what we come up with, take some of these funds and channel it into Mental Health Awareness Month efforts and this positivity movement that we're trying to follow.
I love the idea of like a hike at Hopkinton State Park, or everybody bring a beach chair or a chair and sit in a circle in that parking lot. That's huge.
Or
on a
that,
hike day.
the Chestnut Hill Farm, I think they
Yep.
have some hiking trails, and I don't know if you could bring like a food truck there or have prepared lunches, but I think it's a question of the public health person.
Yes.
And if
Yeah.
we can get a hold of her, then maybe we would, she could define what we can and can't do. I don't know what the meeting size is now per Governor Baker. I'm sure things are going to change a lot by May, but for now, I think we're kind of stuck in status quo. But I think something at that Chestnut Hill Farm would be fun. Even
Well,
if
it just so happens we reached out to them actually.
Oh,
And we're supposed to be having a follow-up meeting with them eventually.
So we do have Breakneck Hill Trails also, which is not, is town property, so we wouldn't have to
Yeah,
another venue to.
there are some hikes that are coming up for Mental Health Awareness Month, some meditation classes, some yoga classes. So, there are some things coming up, but definitely we can be thinking about how to beef it up with some other things. So
There's this at the senior center. I met with them 2 years ago. There's that group that walks and does hikes and
Trailblazers.
yes, they were
Yeah.
amazing. They were amazing. So,
yeah,
I don't know. I see a couple of them. I met that group. I see a couple of them walking, but I don't know what that means as far as are they fully back to where they were and just hiking with masks on, or just two of them going?
Yeah.
Hmm.
Well, if it's comfortable with you all, I think we will.
Question.
Oh, yes. Who asked
If
that?
we don't use the money,
Mhm.
I'm sorry, if we don't use the money, do we
Tell
lose
who's
it?
talking. Go ahead.
I couldn't hear you, I'm sorry. I said, if we don't use the money, do we lose it?
It goes, oh, hi, Katie. It goes
He
back to.
wants to go out, so excuse me, let me open the door for him.
It goes back to the town if it doesn't get used.
Ooh.
Well, what about doing Mental Health Month and spreading it like a couple of weeks sooner? So it isn't just the month, but it's a longer period. Because it seems like everybody, I mean, I agree, Sarah, everybody really needs to get out. And that seems like that's the best thing for everybody's mental health at this point, is to be outdoors and not be thinking about anything except how nice it is outdoors. Thorough therapy, right?
Yeah. Yeah, we can certainly extend it before and after. I mean,
Sure.
the challenge is still, is there something we actually spend money on that, it doesn't cost anything to say, hey, go outside. So what could we do that, would encourage that?
Forest bathing is a big thing, and there are actually people who are certified in forest bathing therapy, and maybe you could get somebody like that.
Didn't we actually?
you
That
could
stresses
do,
me out.
do mental health baskets or something like that. We could leave them at the library, just little, even goodie baskets or little cards or something with things you can do. Because I think parents are tapped out. They do not know what to do with their families. And, even if it's stuff, stuff they can do inside, I don't know. But I think anything that we can give to families right now to either get outside or have some kind of constructive family activities would be great in their house.
So the summer concert series is really nice. Is it possible to get a performer 'Cause
Mhm.
people really like that.
That's not a bad idea, but I don't know if you can have musical events yet.
Can you do
Well,
them? Everybody
that's-
outdoors?
That doesn't belong to us anymore. That's recreation, and they are moving forward with that this year.
They are, really.
Yeah. Lauren, I keep
Well,
seeing you.
they're
with
gonna
your hand
open
up.
sports
Yeah.
arenas in a month, so.
I was just gonna throw out an idea, something like this, but one of my friends was just telling me about letter boxing, I think it's called, where it's kind of like geocaching, but you get stamps. So
Mhm.
that could be some type of idea where you get people to go out and it's a positive, maybe there's some kind of positive message or
Mhm.
something like that. I don't know.
We could plant positive messages all over town, and they've got to find. It's like a
like
treasure hunt.
I like that.
Well, you know those rocks?
I
mean,
loved the rocks.
the people,
Rock's great.
I just found a rock right in front of Starbucks next to a bunch of cigarettes that said, I love Zoe, which is my daughter's name. So I took it.
Oh, that's great.
Did we get youth council?
I hope you left the
involved?
cigarettes
If we were
behind.
gonna plant inspirational messages around town, could the youth council perhaps help with that, or I don't know.
Yeah, we'll have to think about it a little bit more.
I like that idea.
Or
Yeah.
letters of hope, or, kids could make pictures, we could collect them and we could distribute them around town. I don't know, but I think
Yeah.
something community-based that we all get
Mhm.
together and we're all trying, because last year there was kind of this camaraderie at the beginning where
Yeah.
we're like, we're all in this together. And, people were delivering little special notes to my door, like, we love you and hang in there. And yeah, no, we don't get that anymore. So I really like some kind of community-based hope
Mhm.
project.
I'm writing notes down just so you guys
Okay.
know.
I know that I do caregiver meals, and one Wednesday, I do that every other Wednesday, and the Wednesday in between, Pam had extra money too, and instead of that she couldn't use for programming or something. And we gave out gift bags, and I don't know how they picked that list of seniors, but I had to stop by and give seniors a gift bag that had like a little lantern in it. And some Yummy Mummy had donated like some cookies or something. So she found a unique way to say, we're thinking of you.
Mhm.
And then she had a whole group of volunteers that drove these things around. And it was a group of people that I don't deliver meals to, but maybe, but seniors that they wanted to say thank you to. I have no idea how she picked the list out. I thought that was a creative idea, to use the money and not have it go away, but also to open it and say, oh, isn't this nice? It's,
Sure.
I don't know. I'd hate to lose it. That's for sure.
No, we're not going to lose it. We're going to.
No, we'll come up with stuff.
I
This
do
is
too.
very, very
And
helpful.
getting back to your point, Shannon, about yoga and mindfulness, I love that idea. If you can stretch that out before and after, and maybe do some guided meditations or mindfulness training, a series of classes. I mean, granted, it might have to be on Zoom or outdoors,
Mhm.
because I think that's something that we could all use more of.
Yep.
Tai Chi is also really great and relaxing, and
Oh,
they
yeah.
do it in very large groups, and it's suitable for seniors. In China, they have huge Tai Chi things, thousands of people doing Tai Chi. So yeah, I think I like this a lot. And I think that we're at a place where I think we need to give people some hope that, we're still here for you. And let's get outside and breathe some fresh air.
Yeah, or acts of kindness, something like that.
Random acts of kindness.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Mhm.
Well, Marguerite was talking about the concerts, and I agree. We didn't have the concerts last year, and so people enjoy that so much. But so Rec is doing the summer series, but could we do a Zoom concert? Like, just a fun thing for families to watch and enjoy.
Do you think they would? That's the only thing.
I don't,
Yeah,
it
it's-
would probably depend on what day of the week it was on.
But there's so much open space in Southborough. We're so lucky. We've got
That's true.
fields and all those things. I just have this vision of somebody performing music or singing or something with enough space around it that people could family groups could socially distance.
What they do for concerts in states that are a bit more open than ours right now is they have a family, each car, you drive, you each have a space around your car and you can set up your little chairs. You have to stay around your car, but you can hang out and have a picnic and listen to music and, it's
I
kind of
see
like-
that already. I see the kids getting together in the school parking lots
Mhm.
and either staying in the back of their cars or sitting in chairs and just talking to each other that way.
Yep.
I do think there's hope on the horizon, but in the interim, we should figure out something to do with this money.
Well, if you guys are comfortable, I think with your blessing, we will decide to discontinue our series and reinvest these funds into Mental Health Awareness Month and the positivity that we're trying to bring, I guess, to the community and see what other ideas we can come up with. So if somebody comes up with a random idea outside of, or you see something in another community, please by all means send that our way.
One last point on that is, you mentioned the concerts and that's no longer under our umbrella of things. But I forget his first name, but Garden, who did the concert at the Mental Health Wellness Award night. Perhaps he could do a little outdoor with he's got a little mini band there with one other person, socially distanced, that's safe, kind of family friendly, etc. So, where we wouldn't necessarily be having our event at the community house, we could involve him and give out the award on the same night. I don't know. That's just a thought.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Because I thought he was great. He was really fun.
Yep. He actually I see him quite often with his mini band because his wife is the principal of my son's school. So Dave Garden often is the provider of entertainment at all things Mayo Elementary, which is great. Okay, if it's okay with everybody, in the interest of time, I'd like to move on to the next item on our agenda, which is our budget discussion. So
Another upbeat discussion.
yeah.
It's always fun to talk about the budget.
Yes. So as you guys recall, our FY22 budget request included an additional $20,000 to cover a one-year contract with Interface Referral Services. And the conversations about the budget this year indicate that things are very, very tight, and that there is not a lot of room for expansion of programs or additions to the budget. And however, at the same time, there's a lot of support for Interface Referral Services. And so I think I had mentioned to you guys that I had received a phone call or an email from the superintendent saying, I'd like to talk to you about Interface for FY22. Sounds good. Sorry. I was getting sign language about watching children. So I had a conversation with him about that, and ultimately the feedback I got was that yes, the school department would be happy to share the cost of a 6-month contract with Interface Referral Services. In the meantime, Friends of the Southborough Youth Commission and the Southborough Community Fund have also shared that they would be willing to cover a portion of the cost. And the discussion on the table now is about another whole year of Interface versus just a 6-month contract. And that we would be looking at starting a 6-month contract for FY23 instead of FY22, if that makes sense. So many dates to follow and it's a little confusing, but the combination of Friends of the Southborough Youth Commission, the Southborough Community Fund, and excuse me 1 second, my child's freaking out downstairs. Hold on. I'm upstairs. The combination of those three would put us in a very good position to be able to continue with this service for another whole calendar year, which would be helpful to the town right now, as there is not a lot of room for us to be able to move forward with this in our budget, and we don't have the support, at least of advisory. I don't, they've expressed that to us. I think the selectmen are kind of waiting to take a stance based off of what we were hearing from the school department, and so I haven't yet submitted a second budget to them. So I'm coming to you as the board this evening to let you know about those other options, and that I think, in my opinion, that would be a good avenue to go in, is to take these organizations up on their offer to extend, to be able to do another contract year in I'm not even thinking of FY, for the calendar year of 2022, and then to reconvene with the town finance team, and in the process of the budget discussions for FY23, consider getting back to that discussion of a 6-month contract for FY23.
Can I just ask for just a tiny little bit of clarification?
Yes.
The cost of Interface for the 6-month, they want to synchronize it with the beginning of the fiscal year, right? So that means we have to do 6 months and end in June. Right?
The town, if the town is paying for it, the town would like to see it line up with the fiscal year.
Okay.
If the town is not paying for it,
yeah,
then there's not that obligation or that interest.
Which do you want? Do you think it should come out of town budget, or do you think we should have to scramble for it every time that comes due?
I would like to eventually see it be paid for through the town budget, but I think we are in special circumstances right now with the strain that is on the town budget this year, given all of the challenges. And I am not, this is not my forte, but it is the finance teams and the advisory teams area of expertise, and the feedback we're getting is that this is going to be very hard.
So Sarah, there's the programming money, which seems to be money. Can that be put toward Interface?
Well, it's only $1,000. It's a very small amount of money. So no matter what, we would need to ask the town for more money.
But what does Northborough do?
Northborough, it's paid for out of their town budget.
Through the Department of Youth and Families?
Mm-hmm.
And they've been doing that for how many years?
They just got it. They asked for another employee
Mhm.
and did not get that. And their compromise was to ask for interface. They have 1.5 staff in their department.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
But they do
Oh,
have,
I'm sorry. They have 1 full-time employee and 2 part-time employees. An interface that just started this year.
so could the school pay for it every year? Part of it every year?
Possibly.
They can't commit to that yet,
Mhm.
I think, but
Yeah, the only thing that's on the table for discussion is this next contract. And in fact, the conversation with Greg Martineau was covering a 6-month contract. So there was a commitment of $5,000.
From January to this coming June 31st, in other words?
The current calendar year that we're in is fully covered. It's already been paid
Oh,
for.
okay.
From January to January.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we're talking for January 1st of 2022.
To June 31st?
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of, I was listening to the advisory meeting. I think there's a lot of support for interface because it
Mhm.
benefits the whole town hugely.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I guess it seems to me it'd be nice if the school could pay for part of it and the town via youth and families could pay for part of it.
That's ultimately the goal.
All right.
Absolutely. And that's still on the table. We are just trying to get through the next fiscal year, which is the harder.
22.
And the outlook is looking better down the road. We can't predict it completely. And again, I'm speaking, I'm trying to impart on you what I've been told without this being my area of expertise at all. The bottom line is that we don't have support of advisory for this being in our budget.
I say we go with funding from other alternative organizations
for now, and
for
not-
now, and revisit this FY '23. I think we have a lot of other things on our plate, and if we can get funding from other sources for in the interim, that's great. And at that point in time, we'll have a lot of statistics and data to share with the advisory to convey the importance of this
But
resource.
it's not just advisory, because advisory ultimately has no ability to grant us money or keep money from us. If we decide that we don't like what I mean, don't kill me advisory, but if we decide what we don't like their opinion about something, we can just take it to town meeting, hold a
Right.
budget, and have the town residents vote on whether they think it's advisable. But I agree that it's too complicated a sell at this point for town meeting, because it's still going to be an outdoors town meeting. It's going to be hard to get into the, nitty gritty of what we want. And maybe with the statistics, it would be better, to bring it to the next town meeting after the one that's coming up in May.
The other piece too is that we would have more of an exact price on what our contract is going to cost us on an annual basis. Right now, we have to go with, the reason why it says $20,000 in our budget is because that's the max amount that it could possibly be.
Right.
Because it's based off of the first year of usage, and we have no idea what our first year of usage is going to look like. So we will know what exactly we need to budget into our operating budget by FY23, because we will have done this for 2 years in a row and we'll have a better sense of usage by that point.
Right, and just to say that advisory may not like it and the selectmen may not like it, but the residents at town meeting may like it. So advisory advises, and the selectmen can say, yes, we like it, or no, we don't. But ultimately, the decision's made on the floor of town meeting to put it into our budget or not. So,
Yep.
okay.
I don't know if we want to take a vote on this or how everybody else, you want to talk about it a little bit more.
Do you
I
all
think it's
feel
pretty
ready?
essential that we get it at some point as soon as possible and get it funded in a stable fashion so that we don't have to go through this every 6 months.
Right.
Yeah, I agree.
Because
Yep.
it's using up your time, Sarah, to try and juggle all this.
I do like Sarah's point that we will have 2 years worth of data to support the use from the town.
And it's an unusual year. I mean, this
Mhm.
year is bad. It's just
Mhm.
all
Yeah,
around.
so yeah.
Which is another reason to want to have it too, Marguerite. I understand what you're saying there too, but
Right.
if we can fund it in other ways for now, we're not saying we're giving up on the town paying for it.
Mhm.
This year, we might be saying that, or for the next fiscal year, but
Right.
Any other discussion before, does somebody want to make a motion to vote on? So what I did was I prepared for you and I can share this. Basically, can you all see that?
Yes.
Okay, so the lighter column here, the lighter yellow column is our original request.
Mhm.
And the more neon yellow is what would change. So the only difference is this line item for contracted services is now 5,000 instead of 25,000. So if you are, well, I'll let somebody make a motion to vote, but I guess you're voting on
249.
yes. Yeah.
So the amended budget request for FY22.
Right.
that
So
sounds better.
line 17 is also changed. What is that?
That's the total for all of those numbers.
Oh, okay.
There's two different sections here.
I
There's
see that. Yeah, now I see.
salaries and
Yeah.
then the line items.
Yeah.
I make a motion that we, I'm losing my train of thought. That we approve the FY 22 request number 2 for a total budget of $249,012.
Second.
Sorry.
Okay.
No, go ahead.
I'm
Go.
going to stop sharing so that I can roll call here. So you're saying aye if you are voting to approve that new request, correct?
Yes.
Marguerite Landry,
Aye.
Beth Dombacher,
Hi.
Lauren Ritchie,
Aye.
Sarah Mikas,
Aye.
Leslie Haddon,
Aye.
Sue Byer,
Aye.
and Sue Butka.
Aye.
Okay, great. I will be letting advisory and the town finance team know that right after we adjourn.
Also,
Okay.
could I just say just quickly that my understanding was that advisory supported interface, they just weren't sure how to fund it. Is that right? I think interface has really good support all around. Yeah.
Yes.
Absolutely. Yep. I have not heard anything negative about it. It's that, in fact, there's so much support for it that 3 other organizations came in and said, can we help fund this? So absolutely. Any other conversation about the budget before we move on? Okay. Donation account expenditure approval. I don't have anything. That's a standing item on the agenda, so we can move forward there. Friends update. Leslie, you want to say anything?
Okay. I don't know how to share my screen. I can just walk everyone through the numbers, or I don't know if you have access to.
If you go down to the bottom, Leslie, can you see the green thing that says share screen?
Yes. Just
Uh,
put
I
the-
don't know if she has the ability, she might have to, I might have to share it.
Because she's
don't-
not hosting or?
I don't know. I think I've shared stuff all the time,
Well,
so.
I can try.
Mine says host disabled.
Post
participant.
disabled.
Oh,
So Leslie, is this the attachment that you shared with me the other day over email?
Yes, it was yesterday.
Okay, I can share that.
Can you find that? I mean, it's just an update of the grant balances, where we stand at this point. Oh, yes. Wait, is that it?
Yeah. It's here.
Okay, can you go to the next sheet, Sarah, 3/5/21?
I'm just trying to.
just click on the tab.
Yeah, I'm just trying to make the view smaller. So Leslie, I don't see anything here. Oh, there we go. I had to scroll up. Let me see if I can make the view a little bit smaller so that everything fits. Can you all see every column?
I can't see the last
The
column.
description, I can just read that out loud.
Okay, all right, go
This
ahead.
is just a snapshot of where we stand, or where we stood at the end of last week. Balances as of the beginning of the fiscal year, grants and donations that have come in are in column C, which Sarah has pretty much walked us all through in the past. And I think we covered pretty much everything in depth last meeting. And then the expenditures. So as you can see, there's some really large expenditures coming out of the emergency fund. And those funds are getting spent down quite quickly. So we started with 20,170. We had grant from the trust fund of 7,500 this year, but we've already, this fiscal year, we've already had expenditures of almost 18,000. Camperships. So I'm going to kind of talk. We had a meeting. The Friends had a meeting since our last board meeting. And we're talking, Sue and I met with Rotary. So I'm going to talk about some fundraising ideas as we go through this, because it just kind of ties in. As Sarah has mentioned, the Southborough Community Fund no longer wants to fund things. Well, they prefer not to fund things that are programs that will involve ongoing things like camperships, ongoing needs. They'd rather do one-offs with respect to programs and things like interface. So we need to figure out a way to continue the campership program. Obviously, there were no camps run or we didn't send any kids to camps last summer, but the 17,000 may or may not be enough for this year's camperships, depending on what happens. And, you know, it's always, well, there's always a need for more so that we can do more for the kids that want to go to camp or go to more camps or provide more opportunities for more kids. So Sue and I had a conversation with Liz Caprielian of Rotary last night, and she said Rotary is definitely interested in working with us. Couple things. They are up in the air about the food trucks. They don't know if they'll be doing the food trucks this spring. It's not looking likely. She said maybe in the fall. But also if they'd like to help us, but they want new and fresh ideas, because she said everybody kind of gets tired of doing the same things. So, you know, as far as last fall, they did the campaign for camperships, but I got the impression they wouldn't really be interested in doing that again. So they're definitely willing and able to help us going forward, but we need to come up with more fresh ideas and to work with them on.
they're kind of shut down, like Leslie said, for now.
Yeah.
They're not doing the Earth Day thing that they typically do because that's not safe. And the food trucks, we all discussed that they really want to help our organization. But I think that in September, it will be safe enough to do something outside. Enough of us will be vaccinated. But she seemed very enthusiastic. She doesn't want to do the same old.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I think last year, you can't even compare anything to what happened to us in 2020 and to the whole world, right? So I thought it was a positive conversation.
Oh, definitely, definitely. And some of these balances really haven't changed since our last meeting. Holiday giving still at just under 4,000. Interface, we've paid the full contract amount of 16,000, and that, just as we just spoke about, goes through the December 30th. Wait, am I saying this right, Sarah? December 31st of 2020. The strategic planner, we've paid the first half of that contract. Everything is pretty self-explanatory. The one thing you can see here is that we have unrestricted funds of 14,000, and that's largely from the front steps fundraiser that was done by, I think I have her name correctly, Chelsea Broadway. Does anybody have any questions?
I can't see how much. It says something about how much Chelsea,
$8,902.
and
That included a match from Dell of $1,500.
oh, cool.
Yeah.
So under E, should that be 3/5/2021? Is that the
Yes, I'm sorry. Yeah, I'll change that.
okay.
Yep. So when we met with the Friends group, we talked about some ideas for fundraisers. They had some good ideas. Everybody had some good ideas to contribute. We're gonna meet again at the end of the month. I'll have more specifics about hopefully some concrete fundraisers, some of which might be tied into Mental Health Awareness Month. But I think it makes sense to wait at this point because we didn't make any final decisions on anything.
Leslie, can I stop sharing?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. Is there anything else you wanted to report on, Leslie?
Well, I had scheduled our next Friends meeting for Tuesday, the 23rd at 7 p.m., but I think I'm gonna have to reschedule that date. Oh, something that came out of our meeting with Liz was, she said she thought it'd be a great idea if you could join Friends without necessarily involving any of your time. Like you just paid a membership fee, like a $50 membership fee or whatever amount, that's an option that we can.
She said there's a library, maybe Marguerite knows this. Do they do that? You could become a friend of the library for $100 and you are now part of that group, which I thought sounded like a great idea. I mean,
she lives in Framingham, so she may have been talking about the Framingham Library, but I think it's a great idea.
So we could ask people to become members of Friends.
I think that's a great idea, and you could give them a tote bag or something like that.
But it would be a way.
Give them a concert series cup.
You could pay. You could
More
pay
of those.
to be a
We have
friend.
tons of those.
I like that, Sue. That's our new slogan.
You too can be a friend if you give us money.
We buy our friends.
$500, you can be our best friend.
So,
Yes, exactly.
yeah, she has, she's great. She
Yeah,
knows, she
she's
has so many
she's
great
a big
ideas.
go-getter.
Yeah.
She's fun to talk to. So we both thought, I texted Leslie after that meeting and said, we can charge people to be friends. Like, that might be
I love it.
just
So,
something
yeah.
to look at, you know, a,
Yeah.
a donation. but-
Yeah, I love it. That's it for me.
Okay. Any questions or further discussion about Friends and what Leslie just presented? Okay, seeing none, that was the last item on our agenda. I know in the past we've been advised against putting other items that come before the board as sort of a general catch-all. It has to be specific. So that was our last item on the agenda for this evening.
Only interestingly,
Yes.
planning board on this week's agenda said that exactly. I was
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
Yeah, I think the Board of Selectmen does it too.
yeah.
Well, so then we are good to adjourn. This
It's
is
good
one
to
of those
see you
areas
all.
where we
Well,
all never
I just-
know.
I just like
about
just
that.
say one thing is like we used to like, well, I guess we did this time, talk about like upcoming things, you know, because we've been since the director's report, we focus more on what's happened already instead of talking about what, you know, what's coming up. Yeah. But we did kind of tonight talk about, you know, future things.
Beth, you're always full of great suggestions though, and I am
Maybe we
happy
should
to.
add future programs and services,
Yeah.
date or whatever.
Yeah, I can, Megan and Shannon, we'll add that to our highlights for the month so that we can also try to give you guys a heads up on things that are upcoming so that we can talk about that too.
This is sort of in any other business, just sort of a dumb question. How are you guys holding up how are you guys holding up?
I was wondering that also. So that is a good question. Yeah.
Your board is concerned for you all.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like what's happening in the
Nice.
office? Like who's there? You know, who's
No
Yeah.
one, no. We're doing okay. I'm happy to report that as of this Saturday, we will all be, well, they advised 2 weeks afterwards, but we will all be fully vaccinated. That
Cool.
is great.
lucky you
And,
guys. I'm in the last round.
yeah, and then, you know, so we will be starting to have some discussion about what that means for our service delivery. And, you know, we have to balance that with the town and the Board of Health's recommendations. I think we're in a bit of unique situation in that we have our own office spaces and are vaccinated, whereas, you know, other town employees are at different phases. So that will be coming. And then there's also some of us who have children who are still at home. And, you know, we're navigating that as well. And I don't know, ladies, how are we doing? I think we're okay. I think so.
Ready
I'm
for-
with Shannon. I'm with Shannon. I'm here. I'm not drooling or playing with a piece of string.
But we're very invested in our jobs and very dedicated and work very hard, and it's hard on us not being able to be in the office together. We're very a close-knit working team. So we're thankful that we have these touch points throughout the week, but I know Shannon wrote everyone a nice note on our whiteboard saying how much she missed. We have a whiteboard that says in and out, you know, because it was like a bus station at our office, you know, when we were able to be in person and going places. And right now it just says out for everybody. So So she says, this board makes me sad and I can't wait for us to have lunch together. And so I think we will plan on doing something like that once we're all cleared to do so. Probably still outside and all that good stuff. But so we're good.
You guys are rock stars.
Yeah,
Thank
really.
you.
That's what
Thank you.
That was a good question, Marguerite.
Well, I just wondered, because I know it's stressful, right? But-
Yeah. And it's been a hard year for residents. And then we are people ourselves, and so we have it's hard when it's hard at home, and then it's also hard at work. It can be, but we have each other, we have you guys, we have a supportive town. It's great. So
And
thank
at
you for
some point-
asking.
At some point, we'll all look back and say, we lived through the pandemic of 2020,
Yeah.
and then we can forget it.
I look forward to the days that we have board meetings in person too.
Me too. That will be
And
nice.
there's all that slamming above our head with
Oh my
recreation.
God, I missed the ping pong.
The killer ping pong.
The
I know.
killer ping pong. thing.
Well, we're celebrating a year now because our last in-person meeting was in March.
Wow.
That time we were in that tight space too, to think of that.
Yeah.
And I
I
don't
know.
think Lauren is even
No,
experienced in in-person meeting yet. She
No,
doesn't
she
know what we're
hasn't.
talking about with the ping pong.
Well,
Gonna
you'll
love
see,
it.
Lauren, it's very loud. I thought it was
Well,
scary.
I'm gonna go ahead. I know we want to engage in further
I know.
discussion, but it's still we haven't adjourned the board meeting officially yet.
let's
So,
adjourn.
so
Okay,
we should do that.
I'll move we adjourn at 8:25.
Okay.
Second,
We need to vote on adjourning the
I don't-
meeting. Can we
I-
just,
No, I
can we
don't
just
think
do
we
it?
do.
Okay.
Yeah, I think we
Great.
do, actually. Let's just
Oh,
do it.
Marguerite,
You want me to do it, Marguerite?
Sure.
Okay, Marguerite Landry,
Aye.
Beth Dombacher,
hi.
Lauren Ritchie,
Aye.
Sarah Micus,
Aye.
Leslie Haddon,
aye.
Bob, Susan Byer, I'm sorry. I was just reading the names, and Paul Butka. I mean.
And Paul
Susan.
Butka. Hi.
Yes. All right, thanks, ladies.
All right, everyone.
Bye,
Stay
guys.
well.
Good
Get
night.
vaccinated.
Goodbye.
Bye.